Howdy folks. So this video is about identifying main ideas and specific strategies of how to identify main ideas within a sentence, within a paragraph, and even as a text as a whole. So what we're going to focus on is this idea of paraphrasing, about finding explicit meaning in a text as well as finding implied meaning in a text, and then how to objectively summarize an entire text. So this is the specific idea that we're working on, our learning goal for today, to help us work on our big objective, to analyze how language use and word choice contribute of a text. So with identifying main ideas, we're really looking at what does the author think, what does the author want to prove, and how do they support their ideas. That's what's going to help us get to the idea of main idea and purpose in the text. So one of the biggest things I can suggest to you is as you're annotating, get active, or as you're reading, get active. So underline things, highlight things. These are the things that I like to specifically do when I'm annotating. Underline important ideas. I circle those big important words or key terms. And then I also tag paragraphs. So I write short 2 to 4 sentence or 2 to 4 word descriptions of each paragraph. And that helps me kind of see a work as a whole because I don't have to reread the entire paragraphs. I can just look at these little tags. It's really helpful to me. And this helps me at a couple of different levels because I want us to be able to understand the main idea of a sentence as well as a paragraph and then of a whole text. And sometimes seeing the individual leaves is easy, individual leaves of a tree, if I'm going to use that analogy. So I can understand what this leaf means, but it's hard for me to see the whole tree, or vice versa. Sometimes it's easy for me to see the whole picture of here's what the main idea is, but then I've got to break it down and figure out, okay, how does the author get there? So some strategies that you can help is paraphrase small sections of a text. If you're struggling with like, what does this mean? Break it down. Don't try to understand the whole thing at once. Understand this sentence or this paragraph, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then we can start making connections. Use those tags that I talked about, really helps simplify ideas so you can see them. And then don't be afraid to just explicitly restate what is this author saying in your own words, right? That is going to help you understand what is coming from this author and then start to make those ideas of like, okay, what is he implying about this? If this author is saying this, this, and this, what does she mean? And then lastly, let's look at the structure. How and why did this author organize things into paragraphs or into ideas? And again, if you tag your paragraphs, that's really easy to see, okay, here's what one section is about, here's what the next section is about, and moving on from there. Then you can look at the whole thing and say, okay, here's what the main idea is. Let me give you an example. So what's King's overall point in that I Have a Dream speech? He makes a lot of these points, right? These are some of the main ideas of the different sections of his speech, but that's not it. All of these alone are not the main idea of the overall point. I'll let you try to answer this one. So pause and answer it. And then this should be, this should be the correct answer. Right now is the time to fight until equality is promised for all Americans is granted. So because of these 3 things, the main idea is that we have to fight now until we have equality. So I'm going to give you a couple more practices with this. So here's, I want you to try to identify the main idea in this paragraph. Cool. Did you pause and try it? So it would be A here, right? Because we have this sentence right here. Yet it is sometimes wise to encourage coyotes. Provided valuable for farm animals are protected, the coyote will often free property of other animals like rabbits and ruin his crops. So right, this paragraph is starting off with like, hey, they're bad, but this is what's actually good about them. So it's helpful to man. And then here's another one. And I want you to try and paraphrase this idea. So we've got a paragraph here. And what is the best kind of summary or restatement of this paragraph? Again, give it a shot. It's A. It's their most unconvincing to most juries. So jurors seem reluctant to believe that people are not morally responsible for their acts, right? So even in these insanity pleas, juries don't really believe it. That's what the author is trying to convey with the main idea of this. Okay, last thing I want to talk about in this video is objective summary. And that's where we take a look at the author or the work as a whole and summarize it in a short little paragraph. And there's 3 things that I want you to include in this type of paragraph. And this is something that I'm going to ask you to do. State the author and kind of who their title is, what their credibility is, what is their main claim, and how do they support it, right? And it's important in this is you're not giving any opinion of your own. It's not your response to this poem or this essay or this speech. It is just, here is what this thing is. So I'll give you, for my visual folks, here's how this might look. Start with the author, what's their main point, how do they back up that main point? So in paragraph form, this is what it's going to look like. So I've highlighted the main ideas in gray and their supports in pink. And you can see how I start off with, okay, here's the title, here's the author, here's what she thinks, here's how she supports it, here's also a main idea that she presents, and here's how she supports it, right? So use this, maybe even copy this down into your notes so you have an example of like, here's what an objective summary looks like. So in recap, things that are going to help us find main ideas is paraphrasing those difficult words, making those short little paragraph tags that you can look at explicitly. Here's what this paragraph is about, and that can help you jump to what is the author meaning by this. And then I want you to understand how to write an objective summary. All right, good luck, folks.